started with depression.
Girl.
Can't believe I believed everything we had was less. So young and naive of me to think she was from your past.
Welcome to Brown Girl Unscripted. My name is Richa and I'm the host of this podcast, and welcome to this channel. Today's guest, we have Sejal. She is a model and upcoming singer and actress. Miss Girl has modeled for Fenty Beauty. You walked or modeled with them?
I walked, and I've also done shoots with them.
Period.
Yeah. So Fenty Beauty, I've actually not shot for. I was in the Savage Fenty show.
Okay.
And I walked for that, and I've done like e-com for Savage Fenty as well. Or no, it was an editorial. Sorry.
You got mixed up then. Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Well, either way, she's here, and we actually have such a funny story. So 2-3 years back, when I was starting to model, I reached out to Sejal on Instagram because one of your videos came across my For You page, and it was one about her modeling journey and how you walked for Savage Fenty.
Oh, okay, that must have been in end of 2021 then, because that's when I walked for the show, and then I know exactly what video you're talking about because I was like, oh, look at my casting video, and then I booked it. I know exactly which. It was a TikTok, and then I think I put it on Instagram.
Yeah, it was like the one that was like kind of like it was like very like bedazzled, like the outfit, and you were on stage, and like it was that one. I was like, that was my first time seeing like someone who was South Asian like walking like that and like just like being like fuck yeah, and I was like, oh my god, like, that's so cool. It sounds so strange.
No, even me. Listen, I was like, oh my god. Still, when I think about that, I'm just like buzzing. Listen, I'll never get over it, honestly.
Yeah, but basically I reached out then and she gave me a bunch of, you literally responded immediately, which I was so surprised. I was like, okay, period, like she seems so sweet. And then full circle, like, so I don't know what happened in between them, but like now she's here on my podcast and I'm so excited. We literally talked before this, like it's Thursday now, so on Monday we talked, and we were on the phone for literally like an hour, and I remember like I was just like, yeah, like, you know, let's like have like a brief intro, whatever. We just started yapping, and I'm glad though, like I know so much about you, and I'm excited to have you on. So welcome to Brown Girl Unscripted, Sejal.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honestly so grateful for you, and I'm here to support, and thank you for supporting me, like whatever I can do. And clearly I'm a yapper too, so we have a lot of things that we can go on and on about.
No, literally. Well, first off, let's start with modeling. Tell us a little bit about how you got into modeling and like why modeling.
Started with depression.
Girl. Okay.
Honestly, growing up, I was always very artsy as a kid. I was like art, fashion, dressing up, singing, but then, you know, being raised by a single immigrant mother, I didn't have any choice but to go to school and help provide because she was a single mom, and we, you know, I had my little baby sister we had to take care of. So I didn't really have the opportunity to delve into all the art that I wanted to do. So, you know, I did the whole going to college, doing business. My mom wanted me to be a doctor, but I was like, I don't want to do that. Even though I was good at school, I was like, no, let me just do business, because I guess that's what everyone does who doesn't know what they want to do.
It's still a valid thing.
It's so valid. Hold on, let me. Business majors do not come for me, please. It's still valid. But, you know, I wasn't happy. I was in my junior year. I was working as an executive assistant, and like while I learned so much from that job, and I'm very grateful for everything that I've done, I just was not happy, and then my mental health was declining because I wasn't doing what I loved.
Yeah.
And having worked in this country since 13, every odd job up until that point, I think I was finally burnt out. I was like, it's time to do what I want, because at that point I was just doing everything I thought I needed to do to show up for my mom and my little sister. And when the depression was getting so bad that I was no longer showing up doing even that job 100%, something had to change, you know?
Yeah.
So I talked to my mom and I was like, hey, I think I need to take a break. And it was the summer after my junior year. I was like, I need to quit my job and just give me a couple months to figure it out. And the first thing my mom was like, she was like, you're still gonna go to school, right? You're still gonna get another job after it? I'm like, yeah, of course, just give me the summer to like take a break. And I quit my job, and in the beginning, I just started doing ASMR with a friend, just like a creative thing, and I absolutely hated it. I was good at it, but I was doing all the work, I was doing all the editing, and I was just like, I'm not passionate about this.
You don't care.
So I stopped that too. I was like, look, I can't help you do this anymore. And then I started styling.
What kind of ASMR?
Like whatever was trending. nothing, like not mukbang, because I do not stand.
Like the chewing.
I can't listen to people chew, bro.
No,
so I'm
that's
not
a
gonna
lot.
do it for other people.
But like, you know the unboxing thing?
Yeah, it was like
they-
unboxing
the
and like trying different little snacks and like brushing each other's hair. It was really cute, but I was like, I don't think I'm passionate about ASMR either, so why would I delve into something else that I don't care about?
Yeah.
So I told my friend at the time, I was like, look, I can't do this for you anymore. I'm so sorry, I gotta like do my own thing. So it started with just styling myself and shooting myself. And you know, this is 2 months after quitting my job, and it felt good to be doing what I was doing, but I was like, dang, I gotta make some money, you know, like not a nepo baby, like somebody gotta pay the bills. So one day I woke up, and I think I told you about this. I woke up and I was feeling really lost. I was like, I quit my job. I'm no longer at this fucking 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It's summer, so I'm not in school. I have literally nothing going for me except just styling myself and shooting myself, which is fun, but again, doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
So I used my business background, I did my research into the fashion world, and instead of feeling sorry for myself, I was like, let me just apply.
Yeah.
And having done the research, I know Ford models used to have a curve board years ago. This was 2019, and at that point,
board? What is that?
they used to have a curve board.
A curvy
Because when I
model.
started modeling, I was even curvier. I'm still considered a curve model now, but I was like a size like 14 at the time, and I was like, where do I belong in this scene that I love so much? So I did my research, and I know, I think early 2010s there was a curve board, and Ashley Graham started there. So I was like, I know this is cocky and it's probably like very, very delusional, but I was like, if she can do it, I can try.
No, but fuck it, why can't you?
Exactly. So with the Delulu, I applied online and I heard back in 30 minutes. And I thought I was being scammed. Cause like, no, actually I applied just cause I didn't want to sit there and feel sorry for myself. You know, I was like, let me take this negative energy and turn it into something positive. And thank God I did, because I wouldn't be here right now with you if I didn't do that. Again, got emailed back in 30 minutes, thought I was being scammed. I read that email letter for letter over and over again before I responded back. And I still remember it was Chris Rucker, who is the guy who signed me, changed my entire life. Love you, Chris. He's like a bestie now.
Oh, shout out Chris.
Seriously, Chris Rucker, man, he's a good one, for real. Yeah, I read that email over and over again. They said they wanted to meet me in person before they guaranteed anything. So that was, I think, October of 2019. And then a few weeks later, I flew out to Chicago with my mom, because that's where Chris was working at that point. And
With the Chicago branch of Ford Models?
Yes, with the Chicago branch of Ford Models. And then he went to New York, now he's in LA. Listen, he's everywhere with all the Fords. Yeah, he does he fits every role for Ford Models. But so I went with my mom, and I was so nervous. I remember I just kept studying the industry, using my professional background to be like, how can I show up as the best version of myself to make sure this works. So
the best impression. Yeah.
Exactly. I really treat it as a job, because I feel like so many times people see modeling as this untouchable thing, or this industry as such I guess made up thing, but it's really just a job at the end.
It's a job.
Yeah, it's a job at the end of the day, where people we get to make art, which is really fucking cool.
But a lot of effort goes into even just upkeeping yourself to the point where
exactly.
you're, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I took care of my skin. I dyed my hair back to my root color. I researched where I fit into the market, because there's so many different types of modeling, and then how I would present myself, what I would wear, what things I would talk about to make myself look like an appealing model, because they don't want just a pretty face. They want a girl who's doing a bunch of other things and has a head on her shoulders and is humble. They don't want just
whoever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I went in with my mom, and they interviewed me. They had me walk. They made me take digitals, and then they had me sit in a room. Me and my mom are sitting there in silence. What the hell's going on? And then they came out with this fat contract, and
how fat was it?
It was a folder.
Oh my
and
God.
I didn't sign immediately, because I was my professional background. I was I need to read this before I sign anything. But they take it, sign it, PDF it back to us. Congratulations. My mom bought them fucking donuts. I'm and I remember in the moment I was I didn't know any better. And I was Mom, I don't think donuts is fashion. Of course I love the donuts.
Yeah.
Now that's totally fine. But in the moment I was Mom, I don't know if this is right, because I didn't know anything at the time.
Yeah.
She cried. I didn't cry until we got to the hotel because I was like, I need to act tough. But honestly, knowing them now, I could have cried in that moment because I wanted to. But so I got the contract that day, and that was November, first week of November 2019. Yeah, that day and just that whole experience has completely changed the trajectory of my life, like in insane ways that I can't even imagine. And that's all from me being slightly delusional, but also using like my brain to do the research and do the work. Because I got signed in November, it wasn't until February that I had my first job. So it's not like, oh, you get signed and your life changes, now you have to put in the effort. Like modeling is a business. Like my self-image, like what I look like and my face is my brand, and it's a business. Like
Few moments later.
I honestly forgot what the last question was. I think we started yapping. It was one question, yeah. Okay, going into like, so you got in, like that day changed your life. You said November 2019, right? You got signed. So then what was your experience like going onwards from there into like your first or second shoot, like paid shoot? Like that must have been like the first time you're like, oh shit, like I'm doing this. Like what was that like for you? And like what, you know?
Okay, I can tell you about my first job, and I'm gonna try to remember because, like I said, it was 2020, first week of February. Oh my god, so almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
But I remember, so I got signed in November. They were like, you don't have any professional images, so we have to test shoot you. So I invested into those test shoots, 2 really great photographers in New York City. Because at that point I was still living in Maryland, where I'm from, like where I grew up pretty much in America. And like my mom would just drive me up every time I had like a modeling thing, whether it was like a casting or the test shoots. So I did the test shoots in like end of November, December. Then they built my book up, and they like got me published on the Ford website. And then I started getting castings in January. And I remember the first casting I ever went to, I did not book, but I'll tell you guys about that. It was a cattle call, which is, oh my god, thousands of girls must have gone there in one day, and it was like a 2-day casting. So over the like period of 2 days, they must have seen at least like close to 2,000 girls. And I remember I showed up. I don't know. It's just, yeah. I think it's like might be like an industry term. They don't professionally call it that, but I'm calling it that because there's so many girls that came in. Like a lot of like there's different levels of castings too. We can get into that later, but it was for Maybelline. Yeah, and it was my first ever casting. This is not paid. It's just like an interview. And I remember going in and I was like looking around and all these beautiful girls. I'm like, what am I doing here? What's going on? Like, I remember I was like sixth out of like hundreds of girls that had showed up. So I'm like looking at the first few girls that are going, and you know, they're recording their faces, they're asking to show personality, and like they asked them to do a little dance, because you know, different commercials have different things, and I'm like, oh my god, what did I sign up for? What am I doing? Like, I don't know how to dance, even though I danced in high school. Like everything like left my brain in that moment. Yeah, but like I did my best, and it seemed like they liked me. But you know, with castings, like you'll do 100 castings and book like 10 jobs. So it's like you can't take that shit personally. But it was an amazing first casting to go to, because not all castings are thousands of girls or hundreds of girls. Like there are a lot of them like that, but usually it's like requests. But anyway, I didn't book that. And then my second casting ever was for the job that I booked, was when Kim Kardashian launched SKIMS. And that SKIMS was my first job when it was launched. It wasn't e-com, it wasn't editorial, it was like that live show that they did in New York City at the flagship Nordstrom. So I remember that was during Fashion Week, and that was also a huge casting. Maybe not as big as the Maybelline one, but like hundreds of girls, unsigned and signed girls showed up. And I remember it was like a 2-day process. I went in for the first one, I showed them my walk, and then they brought in only like a handful of girls the next day, and I was picked again to go in, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy, like what's gonna happen? I go in again the next day, and then it turns into a fitting. They tried on the very first SKIMS. I think at that point she only had like the bodysuits, like the underdress, like, you know, shapewear. It was only shapewear when it first launched. Just shapewear, and now it's like everything. Exactly. So I went in, they tried it on. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I was just trying to do whatever I could do. And then I remember the show was the very next day. And I think the call time was supposed to be like 4 a.m. or something. And my agent was like, stay in New York because we just don't know. Like, and like Fashion Week shows are usually very last minute, but this was kind of more of like a presentation than a legitimate show in Fashion Week. But I remember I got confirmed at 12:45 a.m. or something like that. So a couple hours before I had to go in. So I just stayed up until I got that email. My agent emails me and they're like, they're confirming you for the show. You have to be there for rehearsals in a couple hours in New York. So yeah, I was at the hotel with my mom and I cried and my mom was happy and like, it was just such an insane moment. You know, I did my skincare, I showered, I was like, I gotta go like be hot for this shit. Yeah, and it's like I went and we rehearsed. We were there at like 3-4 in the morning rehearsing. Kim was not there for the main rehearsal, but then you know, we did the rehearsal without the outfits and we went back to like the main spot where we all got ready. They put me in this tight wig. My hair was so long at that point, and oh my god, it was just an insane experience for my first job to be a presentation in Fashion Week. Like there were like 50 hairdressers and makeup artists, and like someone was doing my nails at the same time as my hair and my makeup, and like that being the first experience, I was like, oh my god, I'm really doing this. And I just remember the entire time I was just buzzing. Like there was no thought in my head where I was like, oh, I don't belong here or I can't do this. I was just buzzing. I was just fucking happy to be there. It felt so good. And I was just talking to everyone, trying to be friends with everyone, and just like optimistic as fuck. And I swear I'm exactly the same now too, I feel. But
What gets you ahead when you are optimistic?
yeah, I've just been through too much shit in my life to hold any negativity in my heart. And like sometimes it rubs people the wrong way, but I'm like, you know what? You can go heal. I'm gonna stay authentic to myself. And that's also Chris Rucker, who got my entire career started. That's the one thing he told me when he handed the contract over to me. He was like, just stay humble. Like, stay who you are. And I never forgot that shit ever. I always remember that no matter what I go through in this industry. But yeah, and then, you know, they put on those wigs, those red nails, I still remember. And then they packed all the girls into a bus and they drove us up to the flagship. And I remember we had to go up these escalators and then we walked on stage, we stood there in our positions, and then Kim came out and she's so tiny, and at that point she had the biggest booty, which I don't think it's as big anymore. But yeah, it was a crazy experience. And then I closed the show, and when I was closing the show, I was the first model to walk off the stage because all the other models were going to come behind me, and I look to my right to walk off the stage, and fucking Kanye is standing there. Just, he had his sunglasses on, but I could tell he was looking right at my face. So I'm looking at his face and I'm like, I can't look away. I know it's Kanye, but I'm gonna stare at him in those sunglasses. And I made sure that, like, you know, maybe he'll remember me or something, anything. So I like stared him down. I kept my fucking cool pose, and then I just walked off. But in my head, I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, Kanye, Kim, and then Kanye, literally right there. And I was like, I had to control myself because I swear if I didn't, I would have blacked out. But thankfully I didn't. And then I like closed the show. As soon as I got back on that bus though, I was like screaming. I was like, what the fuck just happened? And I swear, like, it felt like I blacked out, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But it happened. And yeah, that was my first ever job. And I still like talking about it now. I haven't talked about it in such a long time, but talking about it right now makes me giddy. Like, it's so weird. Like, I'll never get over it. I feel like I'm forever grateful that I get to do this, honestly. I don't think I'll ever get over it. I don't know how people do, honestly. Like, we get to do fucking art for a living and fashion, and it pays my bills. I can't complain, for real. Even like on the sleepless nights or a red eye straight to work, I won't ever complain. Like, recently I was on a job where it was like a 16-hour shoot, and sometimes, you know, you're there, but you're not shooting until the end of the day. And my shot was literally at the last hour of those how many ever hours we were there. And I remember the director being like, oh my god, this is the most patient model in New York, because I was just like happy as fuck all day long. I'm like, yeah bro, I've been through too much shit to not be happy. This is the best job I've ever had, you know what I mean? So even if you guys are making me wait, I'm not gonna complain. So
No, I totally totally get that. Like, I feel like a lot of people like will just like complain when there's like a long time to wait at these sort of opportunities. But it's like so unprofessional, you know? Because I think that like that's part of what it is. Like, they're putting up this entire setup together. Like, end of the day, like you're like one of the like you're a part of the whole thing, right? But like if you're gonna complain about it, like it's just unprofessional. I remember being a part of a show and like literally some of the models that were complaining got like kicked out.
Yeah, and you know, maybe on set, if like they'll act like they still like you because that's what they have to do professionally, but you won't get booked again. Unless you're like a Nepo baby or a supermodel, then they'll put up with your shit. But if like, even then, they don't like people like that. You're gonna get talked about, like you're not gonna get rebooked. And even if it's fashion or whatever, like we're still people at the end of the day. We should treat each other with respect and kindness. It's not the fucking 80s, 90s anymore. We're not smoking cigarettes and doing cocaine. I mean, some people probably still are. But, like, you know, it's more professional. Like, we have to treat each other fucking right. Nobody wants an attitude. It's not cool. It's never, since when was it cool to be a bitch? Like, I guess it was a trend at one point, but no. It doesn't last.
I totally resonate with that, yeah. So then from that point onwards, would you say that that's had an impact on your confidence as well? Like going from even just your mental health too, because you said that like before you booked this, you were like depressed, unhappy, and then of course this first shoot happened. Like did you, and then like you started booking more shoots, etc. Like what did that look like for your mental health as you're experiencing this? Because like it's such a huge life change, you know, like even just like beyond the first shoot.
So I think for me personally, beyond just modeling, I struggled with my mental health growing up a lot and my self-image. I was very overweight in like beginning of high school. I went through a lot of stuff that just like impacted my mental health. And of course, I went to eating, gained a bunch of weight, lost a bunch of weight when one of my best friends, I love you Jade, called me out. She's like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? You need to like lose weight, get hot, and party with me. Thank God I did, because that was like the first glow up I guess I had. And mental health was still like fucked up over the years, so I gained it all back in college. So I was always up and down with my weight, and like mental health was obviously like I've dealt with depression and maybe not so much anxiety, but mostly depression. And I feel like there was a point in my life, especially after being so depressed at that 9 to 5, where I was like, I just can't give a shit anymore. I can't do it to myself anymore, because I grew up caring so much about what other people thought about me. Because the first time I had a glow up and I realized how much better people treat me because I look better and I'm skinnier now, I'm like, no, seriously, it kind of made me sick. Because the first time I had my glow up or whatever in high school, and I would go into the same stores that I would go into when I was like fatter or like uglier to other people's ideals, you know, like no one would think of me as shit. But then once I glowed up and I went into those same stores, they would be like, oh my god, can we help you? Like, oh my god, this is so nice. Or like they're just treating you so much better. And I think a part of me was just like, oh my god, none of this shit fucking matters. Like, people are so shallow. And I think I made the decision to just not give a fuck what I look like anymore, and just love myself, and like really, really working on loving myself before I gave a damn what other people thought. Because even when I was delusional and started modeling and applied, I was still curvier, and I still was confident as fuck. If anything, I feel like I was like at 23-year-old, like I wish I had that confidence still. I do, but like, damn, I was so delusional to like just up and quit my job and apply to Ford models out of like nowhere. Because I think jumping into the industry so hard, so fast, I'm super grateful for my team, but I went from having no experience to literally just being thrown into it full time. It did have an impact on me negatively. I feel like I started scrutinizing every little thing about myself, looking at every little part of my body, my skin, my face, and like before castings, and like I took every no as a failure, and that's just not how it works. I've learned obviously through the years that like, you know, you're gonna do, like I said, 100 castings and book like 5 to 10 of those jobs, and that's just a part of the job. It's not personal, because when a casting director says no to you, it's not because you're ugly or whatever. Like, it's because you just don't fit that art project. Yeah. It's not a person, like, you know. So the first year I was very, very.
Yeah, more people would hear that because I think a lot of people will think, oh, like I'm not pretty enough to model, I'm not pretty enough to do this. But it's like, I don't think it's a pretty or not pretty thing. It's the same way like in different cultures, like in like certain places, like if you're a certain skin tone, like colorism is a big thing. But then like in other countries, or like I would say like even here like I feel like melanin is like looked like more up positively, yeah, it's more looked on positively. It's celebrated, which is amazing, but then if you look at like a lot of other places, it's not. So it's like that's just like art, like this sounds horrible, but it's like in the sense like that's like someone's artistic eye, you know?
Exactly.
Whether it's good or bad, that's just how they're viewing it.
I take it personally. Like I said, my first glow up in high school, I kind of learned that, but then being thrown into such a scary industry or whatever, it's not scary. We're all just people. We're literally just some art kids doing fucking art. But being thrown into it, like I became like my worst enemy. I was so in my head. Every time I got a no, I took it personally when I shouldn't have like had at all. And I think I had to kind of go through it again to learn to love myself again and be like, no, this is not personal. This is just a job. And I just don't fit into this specific art project. And yeah, I think it definitely did make me even more confident over the years. And now I just don't give a damn what I look like. And it's helped me just become a more authentic version of myself. And I can say maybe in the beginning of my career, I was still trying to be like this polished version of Sejal that I thought the industry needed me to be or the world needed me to be. And now, like 4.5 years into it, I'm kind of like letting loose and like really just being myself, like unhinged, kind of weird and like gross and like whatever the fuck I want to be. Yeah, and it feels good, but it took some time to get there, you know? Like my first year, I was just like trying to be what, like I'm like a mannequin, like who, like fit me wherever. But now I'm just like, I'll take whatever I belong in, and if I don't fit into a space, I'm not going to try to change myself to fit into that space. Because over the years, I've lost some weight and I've lost some clients because of that. And you know, I cut my hair. Obviously, you lose clients depending on what you look like, but again, it's not personal. And I want to be the most authentic version of myself. I mean, I'm still gonna take care of my skin and like present myself as a model, so keep booking me, please. But like, I just don't want to be a mannequin or what other people want me to be. Because growing up, I wanted to make my mom proud, do whatever she needed me to do. And then once I decided that wasn't working anymore, I started modeling, got into this industry, and I started doing what I thought I needed to do to be the best model. And it's like, I'm so much more than that. I'm not just someone's daughter or a job title. Like, I'm a fucking person, you know? So it's nice to, after all these years, just learn that about myself and kind of let myself be a little looser, because I feel like, especially as brown women, we're put into so many fucking boxes, and we like have to be perfect at this, perfect at that, like.
Milestones. I feel like there's definitely things that come with that. For example, like something like modeling. I feel like in our like, I wouldn't say in our culture, but like I would say like here in like the immigrant community is seen as like, oh my god, like what is she doing? But it's like you're killing it, you know? So it's like, what was that like for you, like in terms of just like when you would see like relatives or like just like people within the community, like did you ever like, was it always positive, was it always negative, or like what was that like? I know your mom is super supportive, so obviously like that is the main thing that matters. But yeah.
I mean, so in the beginning, even my mom, you know, I told you, she was like, oh, you're still gonna finish school and you're still gonna get like a real job, right? I was like, yeah, of course. I had no intention of doing any of that shit. But then when I got signed to Ford, and obviously my first job being for fucking Kim Kardashian, like my mom was like, oh, okay. She went from being like, you know, she was like, this is serious and this is the real thing. And I mean, it still took some time to, you know, pay off the investments I made into this career. But now I am full-time, and it is paying me more than any job I've ever fucking done. Any job that my degree would have gotten me anyway, unless I like became an entrepreneur, and which I'm still doing. I still want to be just more than a model, you know? So doing the modeling and the singing and the acting and my own business. So I'm working with my mom right now. We're doing it in event management company. I just got the LLC for it, so it's still in the planning stages, but like we're gonna start small and then let's see where it goes. I have some like big dreams for it, but that's still like, it's definitely not a side hustle, but it's still in the works. Yes.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Yeah, but what was the question again? Hold on. No, before that, what were we talking about?
Oh no, I was asking you. I asked you about like just like navigating expectations while doing this, and like yeah, that. But you answered it. You were just like just like doing it, and then eventually like once you're good at something, I feel like end of the day, like what I realized, especially even with my own parents, is like end of the day, your parents aren't like against you like doing something specific. They just want you to be secure and happy and successful. And I think that like when they're shown that like X, Y, and Z paths are the ones that, like, for example, like education, like getting a job, like that's in their eyes from what they've seen as like security. So like I've just learned that it doesn't come from a bad place.
No, it doesn't.
And then you're like, well, let me just like make myself successful even more than that. And then
Exactly. And I feel like, yeah, it comes from a place of fear from them as well, where they want us to do the best and they want, you know, us to follow the route that they think is going to make us secure or have income or like be safe in this world. But so many times that's not realistic for us, or we're not happy doing that, and it's taking such a toll on our mental health as brown women and brown people in general, where we can't take up, or we think we can't take up space in places where we want to belong. And it's like fighting for that, and we shouldn't have to fight for it. We should just be allowed to do it. I think things are getting better, but you know, just proving to our own community that hey, we can be artists and we can make a living. We can do other shit and make a living. We don't have to just be fucking doctors and lawyers, and still be doctors and lawyers too. Don't drop out of school like I did. But no, like for real, we need like do what you're passionate about though. Because like, yeah, I was good at school. I could have easily gone through and like become a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever, but I would have been so depressed and I would have not have lived an authentic life to myself. And you know, I don't think being an art major or doing art or fashion or whatever it is you want to do isn't just for nepo or rich kids. Like, yeah, it was hard as fuck for me. I was unemployed and like you know, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. I think that's just life in general. Like, you have to do the shit that makes you happy, even if you're broke for a little bit.
I feel like my perspective on that is like, do it, but do it with a plan, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, of course. I was broke, but like I had family. Like my mom definitely supported me, and without her, I couldn't have done it. So I'm forever grateful for her. And also, I lived at home while I was starting off, and like I said, the first few checks I made went right back to the agency. Because when I started, my first job was in New York, and then they were like, "Oh, we want to sign you in Miami and LA and New York as well, but like we want to test to see how you would do in the LA market." And I went and I lived there for a month. Pre-pandemic, it was February, literally from the first week of February, right after my job with Skims, until March 14th, when the national emergency was declared for COVID. Yes, I started this shit a month and a half before COVID happened. It was like, and then when it stopped, the whole world stopped. So it was like literally taking candy away from a fucking child. That's how I felt, because I was thrown into this world full speed ahead. Like my first month after that job, I was working. Girl, I was working. Like I was working like couple jobs a week, which is a lot for a model.
That's amazing.
And like test shooting, like castings, everything. And I don't think we've fully gone back to that speed at all, because the world has changed because of COVID, obviously. But I was like, holy fuck, what do I do now? And you know, when I was living there at the model apartment, I'm paying for that. Like all my first, like my first 3 or 4 checks that I made went right back to the agency.
Oh, so the way they did it was like they took like I guess like they let you live there and they took the payments from your checks to pay for that. Yeah.
It wasn't until like my 4th or 5th job where I actually made any profit. So people don't realize that it's not just, oh, you get signed and you blow up and life is amazing. No, girl, it's a job. It's a business at the end of the day. It's not even a job. It is a business, and you have to invest. Like my first 2 test shoots were $2,000 each. Like total. But that's still like like people when they, like an average person who's not in the industry, they're like, what? No, that seems like a scam. No, it's not. I mean, some of it is a scam, so beware of like those agencies. Like you shouldn't have to pay an agency to get signed, but when you get signed to a good agency, you're gonna have to invest into building your image, building your portfolio. Like you have to show clients what you can do, obviously, you know. But yeah, it took some time, but I think I showed my mom, and she went from like being like, yeah, you're still gonna go to school, right, to being like momager. And she's like, oh, what's the next shoot? Are you eating right? Are you taking care of your skin? And it's like, she's been my number one support. Honestly, I couldn't have done it without her.
That's so
Like,
cute.
seriously.
Wait, so how did you navigate it during COVID? I'm so curious.
Oh, okay. That was,
it's a lot.
oh, it was a lot. Ooh,
It took over everything. I
took
remember,
over everything.
like,
Everything shut
yeah.
down. But funny enough, I feel like the entertainment industry, other than the medical industry, was one of the first back because we were really good at COVID testing. Ooh, girl, that first year I COVID tested like almost every other day. So at that point, I was just at the model apartment. So I did go back to Maryland. I had signed a lease 1 week before the national emergency was declared in LA, but I asked the landlord, like, hey, it's like we don't know what's going on. So she gave me like some time to come back. So I did go back to Maryland for like a month. I packed up my shit. I still moved across the damn country in the pandemic because I was like, ain't nothing stopping me. I don't give a shit. I literally went back to LA in the pandemic. I moved. So February, March, up until the 14th, I worked in LA. I remember I had my job for Dior Beauty, I think March 13th, and then I flew back to Maryland March 14th. When? No, that shit, that's still crazy to me, honestly, that I did that. Shout out to my team. Thank you for believing in me. I can't, literally every job I'm grateful for. But yeah, I remember flying out the next day, and while I was in the flight, it was the pilot who announced, hey, there's a national emergency happening. That's
Pilot.
Yeah, because the national emergency was, I'm pretty sure we can Google this. It was declared on the 14th, and I was in the air when it was declared.
That's such a funny story.
I was tripping, bro. I was in that flight with no mask, with a scarf around my mouth. Like, am I gonna die? Like, what the hell is going on? So I went back March till April. I stayed in Maryland, still packed up my shit because my lease there was ending. My lease was starting in LA. Like, shipped all my shit out, packed up my cats, moved to LA in the pandemic. Didn't work until like end of July. But thankfully, I was one of the first people back to work in the industry. I still remember my first job back. It was just me, the photographer, and the art director. The art director is in one corner, photographer's in one corner. They told me to do my own hair and makeup. It was an e-com job, so it's just like, you know, those pictures on the website. And they cut my face out anyway at the end because, like, obviously I can't do as well as like a professional makeup artist and a hairstylist, especially in the beginning of my career. But yeah, those were some odd times. But yeah, the entertainment industry, film and fashion, they were very quick to figure out how to keep everyone safe and like COVID test. Like, oh my God, we were COVID testing every day, like every single morning, and you couldn't get onto set until you were negative. So yeah, and I remember I was working in LA, and then I think I flew out for a job in New York in like September, October 2020. And I remember being in an Uber and the plastic film in between, because it's like creepy times, bro. I was in an Uber driving around Times Square with no one there. I swear I witnessed Times Square as a movie almost. Like, I was looking around that shit. Like, I think I have a video still from that time. Like, it was weird times.
Yeah.
Because, like, you don't know if you're going to get sick or get someone else sick, but you're just like, I was so happy to be working though. I was like, I'm still show up and do my thing. So even through the pandemic, I was like, I'm not letting anything stop me. And I'm so glad I was stupid and delusional and didn't care about my health, because if I didn't move back to LA, I don't think I would have had the career I've had, you know? It would have taken longer, or maybe I would have missed all these opportunities, or who knows where I would be, you know? So thank God I toughed it out, and I was crazy enough to do it.
I think that's such a, like, even just you flashing back to COVID and talking about all this, it's like in the future when you talk, well, I guess even now when you're talking about it, it's like, it feels such a movie story, you know? Like, it's like this like national pandemic happened, like you're in the middle of the air, like you're what, like 900 feet up, right? 900 feet up, that's like average, like, that's how 3,000, okay, so 3x what I just said, but yeah, like, that's fucking crazy. Yeah, oh my God. But like, shout shout out you for like just like pulling through and everything.
Thank God to my 23-year-old delusional self, because goddamn it, we would not be here without her.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to be fucking delusional, because like I feel like following purely logic half the time, like it's like, I think we talked about this, but like intuition, it's so powerful. I feel like when you focus on like what actually feels right, even if it is like something that is a traditional path, like if you just focus on what feels right, like that's what's really just gonna get you to like grow and like meet your like highest income and like job, like everything potential, you know? Because I think that you can be really successful in anything that you want to be in, and I think that like the whole thing about like, oh, X, Y, and Z careers don't make as much, I think you can, like there's millionaires in every single field, right?
You have to kind of make your own path into it. And also, I feel like you have to let go in life, in any avenue. You have to let go of like preconceived notions of what you want or what you think it's gonna look like. Because like I said, my first year I was trying to fit into so many different spots, or wanted these jobs, or wanted these clients. And as soon as I let go of that, it was easier for me to accept everything that came my way. And I see everything as a blessing, and I'm happy. That's why I could be on any small client job, or like 2-hour job, or 10-hour job, and I'm still gonna show up with the same amount of effort, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's what keeps me going, because like Chris, I'm bringing him up again. I'll stay humbled. That man. Ooh, we love Chris. Ooh, he's gonna love this. But
It's just on you.
no, that's fine. But yeah, the Lulu is the Solulu.
The Lulu truly is a Solulu. So like we talked about modeling and like being delusional and all of that, but like how did your friendships and relationships go like kind of throughout this time as you're navigating like these like unprecedented times, but also just like a new career and like finding yourself? Like what was that like? And even now, like friends in industry, like how have you found your community?
Ooh, what a good question. So I've definitely lost some childhood friends who I think were projecting their own insecurities onto me, because they saw me in their own heads. Because of their insecurities, they thought I was becoming something I'm not, when I feel like I've become an even more authentic version of myself through this process, because it is very humbling. And yeah, my style might be better, I might take care of my skin better, or my hair better, and I've learned all these tricks and tips, but like I feel like being challenged in a way where like that lifestyle of the industry was presented to me, I realized that it's all fake, you know, like that, the glitz and the glam, that's just like, it's entertainment, people, it's not real, you know, like it's for funsies. And I feel like in my first, yeah, it's art, it's for fun, it's like you're watching a fucking show, you know that's not real, you know, but you're still being entertained, right? So it's like, I feel like a lot of my friends that I've lost couldn't separate my job from me as a person.
That's so
And
weird.
it was weird, and I cried a lot, and I'm definitely have trauma from them like not being good friends to me, but I let them go. And like I've learned so many lessons where like I feel like I used to be this like loyal dog of a person that I just loved on people who didn't deserve it, and I like stood for them no matter how they treated me. But it's kind of like the trash taking itself out, you know, like it's like those, no, for real, like it was, because those people projected their own insecurities onto me, and they just couldn't handle me becoming like that version of myself. And I feel like a lot of people say, oh, when you become like that version of yourself, the people who can't handle it, or the people who don't want to grow with you, they'll just fizzle out. And I saw that shit happening. Like I lost one of my best friends since I was 10, another good friend that I was best friends with for years. And when it comes to navigating friends in the industry, the first year I wanted everyone to like me, and like when I came, and I was still like this, like optimistic, honest, open book yapper, and like some girls didn't take it the right way, or some people didn't take it the right way because they thought I was like being fake, or like I was just trying to get everyone to like me. And yeah, of course I wanted everyone to like me, but exactly, and I learned the hard way that not everyone has to fucking like you, and that's okay, like, and you don't have to let your heart turn black just because people don't like who you're showing up. Exactly. So I'm just like, I'm still gonna be myself, but if this bitch don't like me, who gives a fuck? Like, you can go heal in your own little corner, because I'm already healing. And my mom always told me growing up, you can't let other people turn your heart black, like just because they don't like who you're showing up as. And like I said, I wanted to be friends with everyone, and I was trying to like network and be friends and be close with everyone, and I realized you can't do that anywhere in the world, not just modeling. And it's definitely harder because I feel like some girls just feel like they're in competition with each other. And listen, I'm sure I felt that way sometimes too. Like, you look at each other and you kind of are in competition, but then I'm just like, nah. I clung on to that abundance mindset. There's jobs for everyone. If I don't fit into that job, that girl probably fit into it better, and that means I fit into somewhere else better, and that's okay. There's nothing fucking wrong with that, you know? So yeah, it was hard for me to make friends, but I've made some really good friends, a few select good girls and boys and gays that I love very much, but it took some time, you know? It took me figuring out who I am and where I belong, and also myself separating my job from the lifestyle, because it is easy to fall for it. I see so many girls who start off and they fizzle out and they're no longer working because they cared more about the lifestyle, the partying, or like what it seems like from the outside than it being an actual job. And I think me having a professional background before, like a 9 to 5, and like going to school and like starting this job older, I think really helped me navigate this space in a more professional way, where I could be like, this is me as a person and this is my job, and this lifestyle is not like me as an individual. Because like I've seen younger girls start and they just want to party and they want to be hot and like they want to show up to set drunk. You're not gonna get fucking booked anymore, you know? Like, why throw it away?
Yeah.
So
I've heard so many stories about that, where like girls, like whether they're like 17, 18 and they start modeling, and then like especially like in New York City or LA, they get like thrown into like the partying, all that, like the lifestyle, and then it's like, then like you said, they fizzle out. And also like I feel like when you drink and you party and you're doing all these drugs like constantly at such a accelerated rate, because you're thrown into it, like this is the first time you're making money, and like your like parents aren't really there to like supervise in the same way, like because they're living at home at that point, you're like 17, 18, and then they just like kind of like you said fuck up their careers, and it's like that's not professional. And I agree, like I think when you already have gone through like college and have like had a job and stuff like that, I think it puts you in the perspective of like you're not so phased by it, you know? You're not like, oh my god, this is so cool, and like it's really cool, obviously, and yeah, like it's cool. Yeah,
I can separate myself.
exactly. Yeah, like it's different. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why like sometimes, even though I wish like, oh, I wish I started like the other girls at like 13, 14 as a child model, so I could be at another level than I am right now. Like in my first year I was like, damn, I'm like, because trust me, this industry still makes girls feel old. I'm not even gonna lie. Like sometimes I'm like, damn, am I running out of time, which is such bullshit, because I'm obviously not. But yeah, in my first year or so I was like, damn, I wish I started younger. I saw the younger girls doing the same jobs as me, and I'm like, oh, I wish like I could have been that. But then I realized, no, I love who the fuck I am, because I can keep doing this because of what I've been through, and you know, accepting exactly who I am and like loving that person. And like we've talked about self-image and self-love, and I think that's something that was very important, and those are still hard lessons that I learned throughout the beginning of my career, and you know, separating myself from what I thought I needed to be to just like wanting to do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, no, period. Okay, so we're coming to close to the wrap of the episode, but I do want to ask, what is like one of the most annoying things that you experience as a model, like a full-time model? Because I know like it's great, but there has to be something, like, I feel like there's something for me, something for everyone, where like you just like damn, like I don't like this, or like it's like an annoying moment or annoying time. And what's like a time recently where you were like, damn, like I've made it so far, like oh my god?
I feel like you know what I don't like? You know what I don't like? Oh, this is such a dumb thing. Like, I'm not gonna name names, but the worst thing as a model is when you're getting your makeup done and the makeup artist's breath stink.
Oh my god.
I'm so sorry. I love you all, but like, please chew some gum, or like brush your teeth, chew some gum. We're in each other's spaces. That's about it. That's about it. Honestly, like not too many complaints. And honestly, like after lunch, I'll just offer gum, and usually they take it. But like, yeah, that's about it. Not too many complaints. Or if I see like a honestly, what's really annoying is when there's like a big client who clearly has the budget, but then they're like treating talent like shit or treating anyone like shit, you know? Like, why are we not being fed on time or not being given like the rights to like normal shit an employee should be given to? And I feel like in the beginning of my career, I wouldn't say shit. I would just sit there and like let it happen. But now I try to like, if it's really bad, I'll be like, hey, where's lunch? Like, are we getting a break? And I'd still do it in a professional way, but yeah, sometimes I feel like corporate part of clients kind of don't care about the art teams as much, and that got kind of messy. But like, let the artists do their fucking art, please, and like feed us on time. Thank you. What was the second part of the question? What moment that I felt that
I basically asked you, like, recently, since you've been in like the space now for like 3-4 years, like, what's a moment you've had recently where you're like, oh my god, like I've come so far?
Honestly, I think this year, after 4.5 years of doing this, I'm finally at a space where I feel so comfortable doing this that I could do it in my sleep. Like, it feels like comfortable and natural. Like I could get on set and just do this shit and like I belong here. But now that I'm able to open up different avenues for myself and like work on my singing or my acting, because when I started modeling, it's all I lived, breathed, ate, sweat, tears, blood, everything was modeling. It's like first 2-3 years, it's like I researched everything. I like fucking did my best, absolute best in it. It's like all I did. But now, this year, I've really like, I can do this. I believe in myself, and you know, I don't have to prove anything. I'm gonna still obviously do my best whenever I'm on set, but now that I'm comfortable and being able to work on different forms of art, I'm like, wow, I really fucking did that. And now like, this is just my job, and it feels amazing, because in the beginning it felt like if I didn't keep fighting for it, it would run away from me, or it's like this thing that like, and I still have to work hard for it, don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's a business, and any kind of business you have to keep investing into it and making it better. And I'll continue to do that for as long as I can, and I'm super grateful for my team for believing in me. But yeah, it feels really good to be able to do the other shit I want to do and just feel comfortable. That's where I feel like, wow, I've come so far. So yeah, EP coming out soon, y'all, hopefully next year. No date. I don't have anything. I don't know. We'll see.
There's a page I can like put in the description.
No page yet, but hopefully, yeah, a couple songs are in the drafts right now. We'll see.
I'm so excited.
It feels so good.
Yeah, well, thank you for being on Brown Girl Unscripted. I'm so excited that you came on. And at the end of each episode, I always ask the guest, what is something that you wish you could tell your younger self?
There's so many cliche things I could say.
What do you actually think? What's the first thing?
I think the only thing that's really jumping out as me is just to fucking believe in yourself. Don't listen to anybody else. Just listen to yourself, honestly. Everyone else is listening to themselves. Like, believe in yourself, because if you don't fucking believe in yourself, nobody else will. Even if it is delusional. Because it got me here. It ended me in Vogue a couple times. So, like, please be delusional and believe in yourself, because God knows what it'll fucking do for you. Vogue.
Period. Okay, well, that's a wrap on the episode. Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you Sejal for coming on. And I'll tag your info in the description so people can just like see your work. Guys, she's so talented. And yes, Miss Vogue.
You're such a sweetheart. Thank you.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, bring me back, 'cause I thought we were gonna yap for longer. I was like, it's already over?
What time is it?
4:35.
Okay, yeah, so yeah. But yeah, we can yap after, we can get food, yeah. Okay, bye guys, and make sure you hit the subscribe button, and let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye! Just finished the episode, and now we're headed out, walking, and then I have to catch a train, so that's what I'm about to do. And you have vocal lessons?
I have vocal lessons. I'm rushing over
And
now.
a side quest.
Exactly.
But cold outside. Oh my god, look at this. But it's so pretty. Like New York is so gorgeous.
The holiday season is amazing.
It's
Nothing like it.
Exactly. This is so pretty.